We've got $1,000 pullback in Bitcoin, but look, we're still above the trend line. I don't know what everyone's panicking about. Remember, we're sticking to our thesis, and as long as we're above the trend line, then everything is safe, and we continue to follow our plan. But what happens if Bitcoin breaks under this trend line? Hold on. Now I'm getting it. But what happens if Bitcoin breaks under? So what happens if Bitcoin actually breaks under that trend line? Well, that's when you got to have a plan. And the question is, what is your plan? I'm going to show you what my plan is. I'm also going to show you what could take Bitcoin under that trend line, because the truth is that I'm really thinking that in the next day or two, we will come back and test this trend line. And I'll show you why that's going to happen. I'm then also going to show you why I wouldn't be climbing into ETH very aggressively right now. So it's going to be a big show. We're also going to be giving away a lot of money. We're going to be looking at the BYBIT competition. So lots to do the show. But first things first, if you're just waking up, get the fuck out of bed.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, get the guy. Go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Wakey, rise and shine, boys and girls. We've got lots to talk about today. I want to talk to you about so many things. But first of all, tell me how my sound is. That's the first thing, because I'm using one of these mics that you can see in the picture. I hate these kind of mics, but everyone was saying, get yourself a better mic, So here I am, got myself a better mic, got me some good tunes. We're here, it's Monday. I'm back from Korea. Lots to share with you about Korea, because Korea is really the heart of blockchain in Asia, and Asia is where blockchain is happening. And today on the show, I'm going to show you pretty much what I learned and what you should be doing to your portfolios about that. That's happening at the end. Don't miss it, because that makes up part of my master plan. You got to have a master plan, and today we're going to talk about what that master plan must look like. So everyone says that is the mic, good mic. Listen, guys, missed you guys. First of all, tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're doing. I know a lot of you, when the song came on, I said good morning. You also know good night for me. I guess you guys are in Australia and in India, and I don't know where else you guys are. Welcome. So much love for all of you guys. Let's quickly look at, I messed up on the BYBIT competition. I'll tell you why I messed up on the BYBIT competition. So I was doing very, very, very well. But then I funded my account, and the problem is that it took my returns as a percentage of my entire account. So let me show you what I did in the BYBIT competition. I was doing very, very well. So I took a short on Rune. I'm up 36.83% on that short on Rune. I took a short on Cardano. I'm up 31% on the short. I took a short on Shiba. I'm going to make a lot of money on that Shiba short, up 13.04%. And I took a short on Matic all yesterday. And I'm 61% up on that short. So those are the 4 positions that I took. The only thing is I made a terrible mistake. And the mistake was that I made them all cross leverage. And I had money in the account. And because I had money in the account and I made a cross leverage, when it works out where I'm positioned on the table, it's putting me at, let's see where it's putting me. It says like I've made like, you see, I'm number 185 because it says I've only made 8.23%, which is actually kind of garbage, because you can see that I've actually made much more money than 8.23%. Look, regardless of where it is, I am ahead of anyone else at Banter. That's what I know. So right now I'm number 1 at Banter. There are some pretty good traders out there. I mean, I was watching the community here. I mean, look at these guys, 400% up, 143% up. But remember, it's only like day 2 of the competition, so day 3 of the competition. So you got time to sign up. Remember, if you're not signed up, open a BYBIT account using our referral link. Go to the bottom of the YouTube show, go to the referral link. I'll quickly show you where it is before we get into the main show. And all you need to do is go and sign up. So let me quickly find this for you. So you go here, and
You see
all you
here?
need to do. Wow, actually, quite cool today. If I may say so myself. Sheldon is not going to win. Sheldon hasn't even taken one trade, so Sheldon's out of the game. Yeah, you just click on this, and when you do, it'll take you to that page that I'm showing it. You see, so right now, I'm beating Dupes. I'm beating everybody. Dupes, where are you in the trading competition?
Only signed up today.
You only signed up today, so I'm ahead of Dupes. His first account does get liquidated. Look, I'm going to make a confession. I do actually have a second account. So I've got a long-only account, which is my long-term account, and I want to see if my long-term investment account beats the short-term stuff. Either way, listen, where can you see the ranking people are saying? Just go to the trading competition using that link below, and then you can see everybody's ranking. You just click all rankings, and then you can see where everybody is. And I mean, if you look everywhere here, you don't see anyone. You don't see Carl Dupes. You don't see Miles. All you see is Crypto Man Run, and that's even when I messed up and put too much money in the account. So, by the way, you don't see Fred either. Sheldon doesn't care as much as he did last year. Don't like that comment. Terrible comment. I'm going to screenshot that, and I'm going to send it to Sheldon. That's from Trader here. This comment over here. That's the one. Dupes, I'm trying to...
It's not me. It's
Dupes.
someone else. Okay.
I'm trying to put a comment up here.
Look, you see my answer there.
Trying to put a comment up there. Thank you. All right, let's get into the show. Let's get into the show today. Remember, if you're new to the channel, you've just landed in the best channel in the world. Subscribe to our channel. 90+% of you are subscribers, which is unbelievable. That makes us the most loyal crypto community in the world. Also, like this content. And then lastly, we are getting over that shadow ban. Thank you so much. The only reason why we're able to get over it is because of all the love that you give us in the comments after the show. Keep giving us those comments after the show. Let's make sure that we get unshadow banned. All right, let's get into the show today. There's so much to talk about. I'm so happy. Should we start with Bitcoin or should we start with Korea? Let's start with Bitcoin and then we'll work our way to Korea. Fred's in stables. Everyone knows that. All right, so nothing to really worry about with Bitcoin. Yes, we are coming down. Of course, we're coming down. And we're going to come down, and I'm actually expecting this to come down a little bit more, and that's why I took a whole lot of shorts. And the reason why I'm expecting this to come down is because we are following this upward trend, and for as long as we're following this upward trend, I'm happy. We're going probably towards 28,000, at least that's what everybody's expecting. And usually when everyone's expecting 28,000, you can probably expect the rally to pull back slightly before. That's what happens, and that's exactly what's happening. And you can see the same pictures happening on ETH. So ETH is taking a slight pullback. Even though later on we're going to talk about why it's probably not the best thing to do right now is to buy ETH. But you can see it's very much staying in that channel, touching the top of the channel, coming down. But net, it's ultimately an upward sloping channel, which is exactly what we wanted. We got exactly what we want. This is the one that worries me. And I'll show you why this is the one that worries me. So this is a chart of the NASDAQ. And if you look at where the NASDAQ is, and you look at where the NASDAQ, what the NASDAQ has done in the last month. So in the last month, that took a 30-day time period, you can see that the NASDAQ is up 17.92%. That is huge. That must be some kind of record, where in the last 30 days, the NASDAQ is up 18%. And when that happens, you can be sure that at some point, we're going to get a pullback. And when that pullback happens, you can be sure that crypto is going to follow. And so I'm kind of looking at this NASDAQ and I'm going, you know what? The NASDAQ's had a very, very, very good run. And it had a good run because of two things. Firstly, it's had a good run because we've got better inflation data. Remember, the inflation numbers came down. Inflation is now only 8.5%. And it feels like the inflation is going to continue to drop. Because if you look at inflation, if you look at the oil price is now back at $92. The last time that the oil price was at $92 was sometime in Feb. So it looks like the oil price is coming down. Oil is a proxy for inflation because we know that most commodities are following oil. And we also know that oil is a big component in gasoline and everything else. And so what we know is that inflation is starting to come down. So the one reason why the NASDAQ has gone up is because inflation has started to come down. That's one reason. That's a good reason. That's sustainable. But still, when you talk about 18% in a month, you kind of say to yourself, hold on, that's got to start coming down at some point. When it does, it's going to bring Bitcoin back with it, and it's going to bring altcoins back with the two. So if I were trading, I wouldn't be taking long positions into trade, which is why what I've done here in the BYBIT competition is you can see the only positions that I'm holding are spot, 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 and spot. Why did I take a Shiba short? Shiba ran too much for me. And I think that when the NASDAQ comes down, these meme coin traders are going to get wrecked and it's going to come down. So that's the one reason why the NASDAQ's coming down. The other reason why the NASDAQ is coming, it may come down, is because what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is actually one of the biggest short squeezes in the NASDAQ that we've seen since 2013. So there've only been 3 times when the NASDAQ has been been squeezed so hard, when short traders have been squeezed so hard. And you can see once was in 2021, that was just after COVID. And I remember it because I was short and I got squeezed. Didn't feel so good. And the last time was in 2015. Now, as I said before, I am short the NASDAQ right now and I am getting squeezed. I know how badly it feels, but I think it has to come down. And remember that this week we have the Fed speakers coming out again. So we have Waller, Bowman, a whole lot of Fed speakers coming out this whole week. Thing is, I don't think that anything that the Fed says can actually change the markets. Remember, we spoke about this last time that the Fed speakers were out. They were quite aggressive and the markets said, oh, whatever you want, we can see inflation coming down. And so what I think is going to happen is I think that while everybody is expecting a 50 basis point rate hike, you see 56.5% of people are expecting a 50 basis point rate hike in September. 43.5% are expecting 0.75%. I'm actually expecting 0.75%. And I'll tell you my rationale. My rationale is that markets are running a little bit too fast. And when markets start running, it means people are going to start spending. And when people start spending, that means inflation is going to go up. And I think the Fed's watching this. And the Fed are saying, hold on a second. While the economy is good, we can hit them with one more 0.75 before we start tapering and start reducing. So I think as we move closer to September, this is going to start moving more towards the 75 basis point. But let's wait and see. Again, that's just my forecast. Let's wait and see. What we do know is that the last chart we're watching, which is the interest rate chart, this is not the interest rate chart. This is the interest rate chart. Remember that head and shoulders pattern that was playing out on the 10-year government yield? Here it is. We're now back below the neckline again. So I think if we can stay back below the neckline here, we're pretty safe. So again, just to recap, what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for a slight pullback in the NASDAQ. Slight pullback in the NASDAQ takes a slight pullback in crypto. Slight pullback in crypto means we're getting buying opportunities again. So I wouldn't be buying too much now. I wouldn't be going too long just yet. It's not time for me to go too long just yet. All right, so that is where I stand on the markets. Let us look at some other things. Well, China is someone saying 0.75. I bet 1%. There's no. All right, we had data that came out of China today, and the data out of China was bad. It was really, really, really bad. It looks like 2 things are happening. The first thing is that people aren't working. The unemployment rate in China it's the highest it's been in years. In fact, 16 to 24-year-olds, 20% of them are currently unemployed. That's the one worry coming out of China. The other worry that's coming out of China is that retail sales are down. The other worry that's coming out of China is that industrial output is down. And probably the biggest worry out of China, the biggest worry out of China is that the housing market is down 28.6%. We had the capitulation of Evergrande, the not liquidation, but they missed their debt payment of Evergrande. So it's like an insolvency event. So when I look at all of this, I'm going, China is in a bit of trouble. So what is China doing, which is pretty interesting? China actually reduced their interest rates today. So they cut their interest rate to start spurring the economy. So that should bring more money into circulation, but it could also be masking what's actually happening in China. And it doesn't seem like things are so good in China. And we could get a situation where China starts doing much more stimulus, especially because they did all these COVID lockdowns and whatever else. So that's what's going on in China. Keep your eyes on what's going on in China. I guess that's it. And I suppose if you want to keep your eyes on anything, you should keep your eyes on this chart over here. This is a good chart to be keeping your eyes on. So for those of you who can't read, which by the way make up 6.8% of our community. No, I'm kidding. Absolutely kidding. What are you laughing at? It's not. This is not El Capo's community. This is our community. 6.8% of our Capo's community can't read. Our community can read, especially charts. So this is the chart of the Mount Gox Bitcoin. And what you can see is that they haven't started to distribute the Bitcoin just yet. He's still got 137,890 Bitcoin. And remember that the Mt. Gox Bitcoin was supposed to start hitting the market in the middle of August. What are we in today? Well, tomorrow is the middle of August. And so the Mt. Gox Bitcoin should all start hitting the market. So what you should do now is you should brace for impact. Not really, because it's not going to make a big difference to the market. And I'll show you why it's not going to make a big difference to the market. Our good friend Ted Talks Macro made a long thread. He was competing with Miles Deutscher to see who could make the longer thread, knowing that I've got complete ADD and I've struggled to read their threads. Long story short, what he says is the liquidator or the rehabilitation, what do you call them? It's not the liquidator, it's the estate manager, liquidator guy, whatever his name is. The trustee, that's it, the trustee, has offered creditors a lump sum early payment. But remember, not everybody is going to take a lump sum early payment, right? Not everybody is actually going to take this lump sum early payment. Now, he says, even if everybody takes the lump sum early payment, then all these 137,000 Bitcoin hit the exchanges all at one time, which is actually impossible. But let's just say that that's what was going to happen. This is what the part that I think was quite smart. He said, to be okay, so it would. He gave a percentage somewhere. I think he said it's saying like 8% of. Hold on a second. To support this, it was near the bottom. Here we go. It's important. 140,000 Bitcoin would only make up 8% of the total daily exchange volume, which is minimal in the big scheme of things. So we should keep an eye on it. But for those of you who are worried about the Mt. Gox coins, mathematics says don't worry about the Mt. Gox coins. One is because not everybody's going to accept them. Because remember that you had to the choice of whether to receive an early lump sum repayment or not. So not everybody's going to take the early lump sum repayment. Some people are going to hold because they think they're going to get more. So yeah, that is one chart that you should be watching. Watch the Mt. Gox coins, but don't panic about the Mt. Gox coins because that's not what you should be doing. All right, let's talk about Celsius before we get into ETH. So Celsius are having their second day in court. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So if you look at the documents, so these are the court documents that were filed. This is where Celsius stand. This is pretty much where Celsius stand. So you can see that you got the assets, the liabilities on the one side, and you got the assets on the other side. So for those of you who can't read a balance sheet, basically what you got here is you've got what they owe people that have deposited with them, and here is what they've got owed to them. And if you look at the holes in this whole thing, there's a massive gap. They are short 2,155 Bitcoin. Okay, which is that's a big number. 2.1 billion dollars. Is that right? So yeah, so it's $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they short $2.1 billion in Bitcoin. Yeah, they are. They short $2.1 billion in Bitcoin. They short about $1 billion in ETH. And then what they've done is to try and mask this whole thing is they've added in the Celsius token, but they've accounted for the Celsius token as if the Celsius token is valued at $1. And it makes you think that now that we know that the company is holding 95% of the Celsius tokens, you got this token, 95% of the Celsius tokens are being held by the company and not being released, right? So because you can't transact it anymore. And that's caused a massive short squeeze. So that's the short squeeze. So you basically have an insolvent entity that has a hole of about $2.8 billion. That's the size of the hole now, about $2.8 billion. And you have their token trading with a market capitalization. We'll look up at the market capitalization in a second, at 325 because of the short squeeze. My feeling here is be careful of the short squeeze. Don't trade the short squeeze because this token should be worth zero. And if you want to take a position, then what I would do now and what I'm probably going to do on FTX, if the funding is right, I'm going to go short the Celsius token. I'm just going to hold it until they resolve all of this thing. That's it. I do see Mr. Sanya says, if you think that run show is good, who is messing with the comments? If you think that Run's show is good, smash the like button. Give me some love. Here I am. Having slept the whole night, flew from Korea. Here I am, bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. Celsius is being rebranded at Fahrenheit. Yeah, they should be. So that's what we see. You know what else I saw when I looked at this? I looked at this and all I saw was this. When you look at these things, what you got to read here is the only people that are actually making money here. The only people actually making money here are the lawyers. So Celsius is going to spend about $33 million. $33 million of your money, if you invested in Celsius, is being spent on restructuring lawyers. It's not looking good. There's a big deficit here. There's about a $2.8 billion deficit, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They've really got to move pretty quickly in getting this done. Simon Dixon's got a lot of efforts to do it. And I think he had his say today, said people were upset with me when I said Celsius are missing lots of Bitcoin, and they were making up numbers with fake Celsius valuations. It's true. They've lost 67,147 Bitcoin, representing 64% of their Bitcoin. And they're filling up this hole by valuing Celsius at $1, which is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's quickly look at what the market cap of Celsius is. That'll give us an idea of just how bad this hole actually is. It's not looking good for you if you in Celsius. Total supply 692,000. And 90% of it's owned by Celsius. So $500 million owned by Celsius. But now, get this. They've got a market cap, fully diluted market cap, they've got of $2 billion. I mean, you got to short this thing. You got to short. You just watch out on the funding rates. Just watch out that your funding rate doesn't eat you. Because remember, these degens that took up all these tokens, GameStop, Hertz, and whatever. Problem is they can mess around with these things for a long time. And because only 5% are in the market, you can get caught really, really, really short there, and you can get squeezed. And remember, when you short, the price can go, when you long, the worst the price can fall is to zero. When you short, there's no saying where this thing can stop. This thing can go to $100. That's how dumb this thing is. So be careful if you're going to play it. But if you ask me what I'm going to do is I'm going to short it. But just, I've got to watch out for the funding. We'll talk about Tornado Cash. Tornado Cash also short squeeze. No, I don't think so. All right, let me tell you why I said to you that you shouldn't be buying ETH, especially when we look now and we know that the merge is just a month away. We are 29 days, 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 16 seconds from the merge. Can you guys believe it? Finally, the biggest event in crypto history. And I mean it. It's the biggest event in crypto history since the Genesis block on the Bitcoin blockchain. Is the ETH merge, because you're taking this amazing ecosystem and you're moving it from proof of work to proof of stake, and that has huge implications. And if you didn't watch the show on Friday, if you didn't watch the best show ever made in crypto, this was, I must say, one of the best banters that I've ever done in my life. It was this one over here with Mr. Wonderful, with Raoul Paul and Jiren Timmer. Do yourself a favor. If you didn't watch it, take the time and go and watch it. I'm going to show you, and I'll show you in a couple of seconds why it's so important. Anyway, so we are a month away from the ETH merge. And remember that we think that the price of ETH is going to run very much because of the merge. But at some point, you get to a point where the upside and the downside are asymmetrical. And I think we're kind of getting to that point. Remember that rallies always end sooner than you expect. And you're 1 month away from the ETH merge. So there's probably another week or 2 weeks of potential upward pressure on ETH. And then what's going to happen is the money's going to start flowing out of ETH. And the reason why that's going to happen is because all the upside of ETH would have been priced in. But then people are going to start getting nervous. And they're going to start saying, hold on a second. What if the merge doesn't work? What if the merge half works, starts working, but there's problems with the ERC-721s or with the ERC-20 tokens that live on Ethereum? And so all those nerves are going to start being priced in. And remember, when you're investing, the idea is not to capture all the upside, but it's enough to capture enough of the upside whilst managing your risk. And so we're getting to a point now where everyone is talking about buying the merge, buy the merge, buy the merge, buy the merge. When that happens, it's usually time to start selling. And so I think there's probably still 25% on the way up, but I don't think that you should wait for the 25% to make your money. And to be honest, I'm not the only one who thinks like that. One of the smart guys out there, which is the same person that said that this ETH fork would happen, he says, even though he still thinks, this is Galoy Capital, even though he thinks that the fork is mildly accretive, long merge players have overextended, in his opinion, and hence he decided with a heavy heart to now net short ETH. Okay, this is one of the smartest funds in the market. This is the same fund that said Luna and UST must be destroyed. It was destroyed. He said the ETH futures would backwardate, which they did. he said that STETH would discount ETH, which happened, and now he's calling this. And what is he saying? Well, he's pretty much saying, look, now the trade is to actually start buying the ETH, it's to start buying BTC against ETH. So rather take your money out of ETH and put it into BTC. And he thinks that the ETH BTC ratio will actually get better. So let's quickly go and look at what the ETH BTC ratio is now. Take the ETH BTC chart. Here it is. And he's pretty much, he called it over here. So he called it at 0.81. Now, obviously, in the long term, I think that ETH probably flippins Bitcoin. But now for the short term, I think for the next couple of weeks, I'd probably be longer Bitcoin because, yes, there is 25% upside on ETH. But eventually there's going to be a point where all these long positions are going to start unwinding themselves. And people are very, very, very much leveraged long. In fact, I just saw this chart over here, which I think is worth looking at. But look at the increase in the open interest on options. Okay, now that is all because of the ETH merge. So there's a lot of stuff happening because of the ETH merge, and you kind of want to make sure that, you know what, play it safe. There are probably better places to be. I would start, if you're holding ETH for long term, hold it. I mean, you bought it earlier, just hold it. But if you're trading, I think that there may be better trades. And I think I agree with Galore Capital here that it's probably time to start taking profits on ETH. Everyone I talk to is long into the merge. It causes significant asymmetries between further upside value and downside risk due to exogenous shocks and fragility. When everyone is doing the same thing, it is generally positive to do the opposite, even if the probability is lower. There's not much more capital to buy the price higher when everyone is already long. On the other hand, there is a powder keg of longs to unwind and shorts to pile on, according to the narrative. So that is what he says. I think I agree with him. And that's why I'm not going to be adding to my ETH positions. My long-term ETH positions, well, to be honest, I'm holding those forever, so I don't really care about those. But ETH is not something I'm going to be buying right now. I'm going to be trading right now because the upside risk and the downside risk are asymmetrical. And remember that if there is one thing that could bring us down and even get us to test the lows, it could be a failed merge. I don't think a failed merge is going to happen. I think the merge is going to be just fine. But you've always got to manage your risk, and you've always got to know that it is something that can happen. Cool. So, question is, if there is a failed merge, or if something happens that could bring us down to test the lows, right? Then you got to have a plan. And the best time to make that plan is now. I'll explain to you why the best time to make that plan is now. Because if the merge fails, or if something brings us down to the lows, then you've got to have a plan. And if you're making that plan when the crash is happening, you're making that plan when your mind is full of emotions. Right now, the market's pretty stagnant. There's not too much greed. There's not too much fear. In fact, if we look at the crypto fear and greed, I think it was at 45 the last time I looked. But let's quickly have a look here. Crypto fear and greed. I bet you that the community knows the fear and greed better than I do. Let's quickly look at the fear and greed. Okay, fear and greed index. I say 45. Let's see where I'm at. I'm getting so good at this. So you see, crypto fear and greed is at 45, which means that it's almost neutral. You see, crypto fear and greed, almost neutral. So now, when you're not fearful, but you're also not greedy because you're in this no man's land, it means that you're emotionally okay. Well, some of you, not everyone is emotionally okay. I've got some exes that have never been emotionally okay. I mean, some people in office here are not emotionally okay. But let's say that right now, the majority of us are emotionally okay because we're not scared and we're thinking in rational mind. And that's the best time to be making a plan. And today I want to show you what my plan is and how I've structured my plan. So cool. You like that? If you do like that, give us a like and a comment. Everyone says I'm shiny today. Let me just wipe there. Let me turn the brightness down a bit here. I just came back and the studio is not set up and Jimmy's not here today. Everyone's so shiny. Okay, there we go. All right, let's talk about my plan. So my plan my thinking behind my plan is as follows. The first thing is I want to say to you guys that I spent some time in Asia. You know that. I spent some time in Korea. It was the first time in a long time that we've been able to spend any time in Asia. And, because of COVID, because of the lockdowns, the blockchain scene hasn't congregated in Asia for a long time. But now, for the first time in a long time, we had Korea Blockchain Week. And if you didn't watch my video on Korea Blockchain Week, then you're missing out on huge alpha. So here is the video, just so that you can see. It's this video over here. Watch it. It's one of the most important videos that you'll watch. Trust me. Why? Because most of you have never been to Asia, and specifically have never been to a blockchain conference in Asia. And if you haven't been to a blockchain conference in Asia, problem is you don't know how the Asians are thinking. And they're not thinking like the Westerners are thinking. When you watch YouTube or when you watch Twitter, you're interacting primarily with Western people. You're not interacting with people that are based in Asia. And the thing is that I would say 60 to 70% of what's happening in blockchain is starting in Asia. Asia has always led development. They've always led trading. They've always led VC investing. And there are a whole lot of things that are happening in Asia. So if you didn't watch this video, just trust me, go and watch the video. I wouldn't make you watch 41 minutes and 59 seconds for no good reason. But there's a very, very, very good reason. Because let me tell you that after not having been in Asia for 3 years because of COVID, I went back there and my jaw hit the ground. Because there are new narratives coming out of Asia. They're not talking about the same things we're talking about. They are 3 steps ahead. So I want to share with you a little bit what they're doing. And then that shows you how I'm making my plan. And you've got to make a plan. Because remember, you want to make the plan when you're of sane mind, when the fear and greed in the market is not high and not low. So right now, when the fear and greed is in the middle, this is when we're making the plan. And we're going to make the plan based on narratives that are happening. So remember that Asia are usually the first people to start any kind of adoption, right? They are the best builders, they are the best investors, and the best people to adopt. And there's many more Asians right now that are adopting blockchain or that can adopt blockchain around the world. And the narratives in Asia have shifted. So whereas the last time I was in Asia, it was all about layer ones. And when we talk about the West, all we're talking about is layer one. We're talking about the merge. We're talking about ETH. They're not talking about that anymore. They're talking about specifically 2 narratives. And those narratives are super important. We need to understand the 2 narratives. The first narrative, and the one that is the biggest by far, is Metaverse and NFTs and gaming. All the biggest funds in Asia right now are not talking about layer ones. They're not talking about exchange tokens. They're not talking about any of that. They're not talking about scaling. They're not talking about the merge. They are talking about NFTs, gaming, and Metaverse. Because they believe that the key to bringing in all the Asians into blockchain is actually gaming. And so there's a massive opportunity here. If you can find games, NFT projects, Metaverse projects that will make it in Asia, you're guaranteed to make money. And the bigger opportunity is that the NFT market and the gaming market took a big dip and hasn't yet recovered. And so when you're looking, you got to try and find what's going to work in Asia. And I'm going to show you that in a couple of seconds. The other thing that everyone is talking about is they're talking about decentralized derivatives. Decentralized derivatives. So like BitMEX, like BYBIT, but a decentralized version of that. Things like kind of like GMX, kind of like those kind of platforms. Those are the 2 big narratives that are currently playing out. And it kind of makes sense because if you think about the killer applications of blockchain, one is gaming because everybody's going to be using gaming. And the second one is trading. And so the 2 big narratives that I got out of Asia were not layer ones and layer twos and cross-chain and multi-chain. That's history. All the people spoke about, 75% of what they spoke about was Metaverse, gaming, and 25% was derivative trading. And so with that lens in mind and knowing that Asia is ahead of the West, that is how you got to position yourself. And that is how you got to create your plan. So what I did, sitting in the airport last night, I started making a plan. And what did I do to start making that plan? First thing I did was I looked at my portfolio. And I looked at my portfolio and I said, you know what? I want to be slightly overexposed to Metaverse and I want to be slightly overexposed to derivatives. Decentralized derivatives. Now, there is an excellent decentralized derivatives project launching on Solana. We'll announce it in a couple of days. It's amazing. And you can look at GMX. You can look at any other decentralized derivative play. Miles did a whole play around this real yield and he covered a lot of those things. But you need to be looking for decentralized DEXs and decentralized derivatives. That's what you need to be looking at. And you need to be looking for exposure to Metaverse, Metaverses, NFT, and gaming. The problem with Metaverse, NFTs, and gaming is that if you look at gaming, the problem is that if you want to put your money onto a game, it's a high risk thing because either the game works or it doesn't. So what you can do is you can put your money onto things like GALA games, which is a broad exposure to NFTs gaming, and now actually also film, right? So remember that they've got this new initiative. So that's the new initiative they got is film. So they've got music, they've got gaming, and now they've got films. And you can actually run a film node, a film node for them, and you can earn money for streaming. But that's not why I play that. You need to start getting exposure. So what I did yesterday was I sat at the airport and I critically looked at my portfolio against the background of a fear and greed index that looks like this. And I said, what is missing in my portfolio? And I came up with a list. And again, this is not a portfolio list, but it's a list of things that I want to buy. And the reason why I did that is I said, look, if the market goes down, and I mean, if El Capo is right, and I must say, I don't think that El Capo is right, and I'll show you why I don't think El Capo is right. I got this for you guys to show you. So this is not a knock to El Capo, just to be clear. But I plotted all the times that he said that the market is going to go down. And if you followed this, you missed a 50% increase in Bitcoin, and 120 or 130% increase in Ethereum, and a 200 or 300% increase in Matic. And every time he said hammer time, and I was calling it again. And he may be right, because if you keep calling the market down, hey, the market will eventually go down. And I think it will go down and correct. But I don't think we're going to see the new lows until or unless the merge fails. But if we do get a hit in the market, I want to make sure that I'm ready for it. And so I made this list. This is the list. Matic. There's a good reason why I want to load up on Matic. I don't have a lot of Matic in my portfolio. What I do know, though, is that anyone who is building a game is looking at one of two real options. The first, or one of three. The first option that they're looking at is Matic. So the first place that game developers are going, specifically in Asia, they're going to Matic. A distant second or third is Solana and the Avalanche subnets. And so for me, I look at Matic and I go, hold on a second. I know it's going to work for gaming. I know it's an ETH layer 2 scaling solution. I also know that the adoption of Matic looks something like that. 162 million unique POS addresses in just 1 year. You can compare that to Avalanche. You can compare it to Near. Nothing comes close to it. And so for me, Matic is one of the ones that I've really, if the market comes down, I'm going to be unemotional about it. I'm going to be buying Matic. I'm going to be buying Near, because Near is an up-and-coming sharding blockchain, very easy to use. It's got an EVM compatibility around Aurora, so I'm buying Aurora. GMX, because as I said to you, the decentralized derivatives play is something I want to do it. Decentralized options, DOPEX. GALA, because I want to get exposure to video games, to video gaming, to NFTs, to Metaverse, but I don't want to buy specific games. Then Vulcan Forged, another one which I want to be buying. Ultra, because it's a gaming distribution platform. So all of those I'm going to be buying. GMX I duplicated by mistake. BNB, the graph, Near I duplicated. These, you see, what I've got now is I've got a plan. And if the market goes down, then I'm going to be completely unemotional about it. I'm just going to execute on my plan. I'm going to eliminate emotions. And the only reason why I've been able to do that is because I made the plan today when my emotions were there. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. So don't wait until it crashes. Make your plan. I specifically didn't put prices in there because, again, I think that the market's going to come down. I don't know how much it's going to come down. And I'm just going to dollar cost average every time the market goes down. That's what I'm going to do. So make your plan, and make your plan today. Don't wait until emotions creep in. That will destroy you. Lastly, for today, I don't know if you saw, but the Kwon movie came out. So, okay, let's just put context in here. So Kwon, first time that he's speaking since the lunar collapse happened. Now, he is speaking to a company which Terraform Labs invested in. So is it critical of him? No. But it's probably worth watching. I watched it earlier. Now, to watch it, what you have to do is you have to go to this coin. It's actually quite a cool idea. You go to coinage.media, And what you then do is you connect your Ethereum wallet, and then you get an NFT, and that NFT allows you to watch. It's actually very cool. The concept's very cool. The guy who presented it, this Zach guy, is very cool. It's not Zach XBT. It's another Zach.
You're a
So he asks this question, and I think you should just hear this.
smart guy, and you know stablecoins probably better than everyone in the world, I think. And you knew the risk around depegging in the fact that every other stablecoin in history, algorithmic stablecoins, had failed.
Right.
So it's either Do Kwon was overconfident in his project, and in retrospect, no one wants to admit to being overconfident because it makes you look dumb, or Do Kwon was lying about the eventuality of this. Which one is it?
Good question.
So looking back, this seems super irrational, but you got to put yourself in the shoes of a founder, and the ecosystem is inching close to $100 billion. If you've had a series of wins and you get to that scale, then like you almost don't think that you could fail.
You were a crypto god at that point, basically.
I wouldn't say God. I would say that we had the confidence and the trust of a lot of people in and out of the industry. And that made us very successful. Just the reality of it is we tried to build the best currency in the world, and it just didn't work.
I mean, that was one thing that stood out yesterday when we were talking. You actually kind of seemed all right with it.
You cannot be emotional about markets, right? You can't blame people for shorting. You can't call people idiots for longing.
In terms of, you know, you're not trying to prove a conspiracy here, but someone attacking the community, it was, this is the time to strike and take this thing down. And if that's the case, you know, it's a little bit more calculated.
Yeah, so if you're asking me whether there was a mole at TFL, that's probably yes. Whether somebody tried to take advantage of that particular opportunity, I would say that the answer is yes. But if those opportunities existed, then the blame is on the person that presented those vulnerabilities in the first place.
Who is that?
That's me, right? So I and I alone am responsible for any weaknesses that could have been presented for a short seller to start to take profit.
And I guess it's fair to ask and make sure that it wasn't you.
Are you asking whether I shorted?
Yeah.
I've never shorted a cryptocurrency in my life, let alone Luna and USD.
Well, okay, so go and watch it. I mean, it is quite good watching. And also, I think you're supporting a great cause. You're supporting NFTV. All right, before we go, I did promise that I would sponsor a whole lot of you for playing the BYBIT competition with us. And today I'm going to sponsor 10 more accounts. So we are going to go to accounts number 500. Let's just take a number here. From 500 to 509. 500 to 509. You guys over here are going to be sponsored $250 each. Now, how this works is we're going to put $250 in your account. You can participate in the trading competition. If you do make money, you keep the profit. If you don't, well, you don't take any of the loss, but you return the capital to me. Say promise. Say we promise we will return the capital to you. I'm listening. So promise you'll return the capital to me if you make money. You never got selected. Doll. I'm going to be selecting again tomorrow. I'm selecting 50 people. Remember that. Sign up. You can still sign up and you can still play with us. Right now there are. Let's see what's going on here. Right now there are 1,600 and there 1,719 participants. It's not too late. You can put into any time you want just before the end of the competition. Also today, for those of you who have signed up with Bitget, remember Bitget is one of our favorite exchanges. It caters to the United States. You got huge KYC, non-KYC withdrawals, which is amazing. So it means that you don't have to KYC yourself. I'm going to actually 10x someone's account on Bitget. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to hide this column over here. I'm going to select a winner. I will select winner number 100. Let's take winner number 67. This person's account is going to be 10x today. Carl, how much money is in this account?
$360.
Account number 67, 315.
You see?
You see, $315. So this dude's got himself $3,000. And I'm going home now to see my kids who I haven't seen because I came straight here to give you guys crypto love and crypto wisdom. So if you're still here, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, I shall see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, have fun, trade well. Remember to go and watch this video here about what's happening in Korea, because if you're not watching, then you're missing out on huge alpha. It's that one over there. And if you missed our Friday banter, sure, what a banter that was, eh? What a banter, what a banter. See you guys again tomorrow. Much love. Until then, trade well, my friends. Trying to do short shows, Fred. Fred, I'm really trying to do short shows, Fred. Yeah, he's shorting stable coins. That's what he's doing. He's funny like that.